Yeah, sorry, I was playing Metroid. And I completely forgot that I'd... Man, even when I have a plan, I still screw it up. Good old Fringy. Never dependable. How's it going, guys? Welcome to the stream, where I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing in this one. This one will be probably shortish, maybe an hour, because I feel like there's stuff that I need to do today, but I'm still not sure what. But I do feel like there's work or something that I need to do that I'm just forgetting. But you can probably hear it in the background. I was playing Metroid. Man, this game is great. You know, this game is so great. Yeah, I probably ought to stop, shouldn't I? Yeah, but how's it going, lads? Who do we have today? I'll try and read out everybody's name. TNT Nuke, Tommy Wizzo, Burning Phoenix, Ignacio Mayer, Dr. Masquerade, Super Codeman, Shredder 3371, Mr. 27, Jig FPS. I think, yeah, I feel sorry if I missed you. Sorry, too bad. You missed out. The main reason why is because I'm not going to be able to remember the people I've already named. Nice sword. Yeah, I know, it's the best fictional sword I've ever owned. Well, already questions start to come through, so I might as well start going through them. Thoughts on Destiny 2? The PC beta felt pretty good. I can see the PC community enjoying it, if only for the gunplay. Yeah, but that's kind of the problem that I have with Destiny. I mean, Destiny's gunplay has always been pretty good, but there hasn't been enough to do. And the gunplay itself is good, but the combat encounters are very straightforward. It's not really anything that interesting. The enemies don't utilize cover. They don't really utilize any tactics at all. All they do is just run around and shoot, or run towards you and shoot. Yeah, not very captivating, in my opinion. I mean, I will play the game, but that's the thing, you know, like I will get the game because I'm going to review that one. Definitely going to review that. Would you like a multiplayer Borderlands over Destiny 2? Well, I'm not that much of a fan of Borderlands, to be honest. I've tried to play both, and I've barely gotten through either of them just because I found it to be a bit boring. I think those games are definitely propped up by the aesthetics, because in terms of the gameplay, you know, it's a little bit boring to me. Maybe it's just because I haven't played enough of it. You know, when your game is all about, hey, get this next cool gun, that's a bit... I think that's just sort of a flawed design mentality, where everything is about getting the next gun, as opposed to enjoying the gun that you have. That's the impression that I get, anyway. That's the impression that I've gotten from that sort of style of game. But I'm not sure if it's gonna change. I mean, I'm not sure how well Destiny is doing, to be honest. I mean, the launch sort of came and went, and it didn't seem to be that big of a deal. Maybe it's just because more paying attention to sort of PC circles, but I don't know. It just seems like the launch was kind of not that much of a big deal, whereas when the first game launched, it was everywhere. But, I mean, based on what I've read anyway, based on what I've seen on, Metacritic, based on what I've seen on Metacritic, there seems to be, you know, not really that good of a consensus. I don't know what Angry Joe said, because he posted his review, but I haven't looked at it. I mean, I figure it's probably a good idea to not watch other people's reviews for a game that I intend to review, if you get what I mean. Like, it's probably not the best idea. Can you review Warframe? No. I'm reviewing the games that I've got on my list. I'm not reviewing a game that came out 4 years ago. If I was ever gonna do reviews on games that are older, it would be like a retrospective on games I'm actually interested in. You know, I think I'd like to next year, the beginning of next year, when there's not really that many games out. I think I'm gonna get the Ratchet and Clank HD collection for my PS3 and play through those games and then do sort of videos on those, because the Ratchet and Clank PS2 trilogy is pretty much one of my favorite trilogies in gaming. Sup, Fringy? I got an English paper due tomorrow, but somehow I wound up on here instead. Yeah, welcome to the party, pal. Procrastination almost certain, the Fringy live streams, where nothing gets done. It's a time sink, from which all time sinks. That didn't come out right. Ugh, it's too early. Pokemon game on the Switch would kick so much ass. Well, I think it's inevitable, isn't it? But yeah, I would really like a cool big 3D Pokemon game. It would be way more immersive. What art program do you use? Numerous, but when it comes to just drawing, I use Sketchbook Pro. I know most people use Photoshop, but I like this one, and it's a lot cheaper, though that does me no good because I still pay for the Adobe suite anyway, so it's not even that. I probably want to just use Photoshop, but I often use Photoshop for the editing though, and maybe color correction and stuff like that. Sup, Fringy? I figured I would have some entertainment while I write a tedious summary of the host. Wow, I do not feel good. I do not envy you, man. That, you know, I must say, I haven't read the book, but just based on that fucking movie, god damn, it sounds awful. Why do these books with all these stupid love triangles keep being the ones that keep selling? I don't know, it's always love triangles, isn't it? I've been watching too much of terrible writing advice. If there was one game you regret playing, what would it be? I'm not sure if there's any game that I regret playing. If it were a game that I regret playing so much of, I don't know, maybe Modern Warfare 3? I don't think I played that much of that game anyway, to be honest. Do you like or dislike anime, and for what reason? I'm indifferent to anime. I neither like it nor dislike it. I like certain anime-style things, like, I guess you could say Phoenix Wright is anime, and I like Phoenix Wright. But you see what I mean? For me, it's not a matter of this entire format of entertainment I like. If you get what I mean. I say that I like films, but I think that's a bit of a different comparison between film and just anime in general. Is it a good time to express your opinion on the PewDiePie thing? I talked about that on Appaben's stream yesterday, and we briefly talked about it in the podcast. I don't think it's really worth going over, and to be honest, I would rather not wade into that piranha's nest. I really would rather not. I'd rather avoid that. Do you think the Nintendo Switch is doing a better job than the Wii U? Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, we got a 3D Mario and Zelda game the same year. That in itself is already better than the Wii U. It's also selling well. It's actually selling quite well. I lost my train of thought. I like it, and I think it's doing better than the Wii U. Though it does have problems, you know, it's not some perfect system by any means. Opinion on Ben 10 Powerpuff Girls reboot. I don't know anything about the Ben 10 reboot. You know, it's funny, I actually kind of like Ben 10, the older ones at least. Then I stopped watching after was it Alien Force? Yeah, Ben 10 Alien Force was probably the last one that I watched. Man, that's 10 years old, isn't it? Ben 10 is over 10 years old. Jeez. Oh, wow, I keep forgetting that. As for the Powerpuff Girls reboot, it don't look too good, to be honest with you. And I think the issue is, they seem to sort of miss the essence of, what the Powerpuff Girls was about. Because instead of doing... The Powerpuff Girls was basically a superhero cartoon, but with this one, they're doing it as though it's this sort of day-to-day them going to school and stuff. Which means you're not really utilizing the potential of... And that's the thing, right? For the idea that I have for a Fringy cartoon, it pretty much would never focus on superhero stuff. It would always be the mundane stuff that happens outside of the superhero thing. But that would be the whole point of it, because it's not about the superhero stuff. It's about all the stuff that happens afterwards, like when the superhero goes home and he's pissed off about what's on TV. I mean, the characters basically wouldn't be a superhero at all. My friggin' character is just a superhero by name, but in every way that I've sort of imagined the Fringy character, it's always been just some dude in a costume who never does anything and just complains about stuff. But as for the Powerpuff Girls, they were superheroes, so it seems like a missed... It seems like really not getting the whole point of the show to do the Powerpuff Girls just going around doing their everyday stuff. Plus, I think this is a bit nitpicky, but the lines for the line work on the new reboot is not as good, and it's because the lines are too thin. The Powerpuff Girls used to have, like, thick lines on their, for their outline, but now it's really thin. It just doesn't look right. I mean, it shouldn't look worse. You know what I mean? It shouldn't look worse than the cartoon that came out 20 years ago. I think that's the thing that a lot of people forget, though, that, you know, these reboots aren't for us. The people who are watching them now, they weren't even born when these shows were on TV. You know, Ben 10 was 2006. There's probably kids watching Ben 10 that weren't even alive at the time. Now, I would always recommend that people actually watch the older cartoons. You know, DuckTales was made well before I was born, but I can still watch that and enjoy it. And, you know, I can't tell you that I'm super nostalgic. No, actually, yeah, I could actually tell you I'm super nostalgic for Animaniacs, even though I think the show debuted around, yeah, when I was really young, when I wouldn't have even been watching it, but I still really enjoy that show. You know, the older cartoons were a bit edgier, and that's something that you notice especially with our Cartoon Network. I'm not gonna talk too negatively about Cartoon Network, because I would definitely, if they were like, hey, we want you to make a cartoon show for our network, I would take that job in a heartbeat. But I think it's just sort of, it seems like a lot of their problems right now is the fact that they seem to be shoving Teen Titans Go down everybody's throat. I mean, I don't have Cartoon Network. I can only, you know, watch this stuff online or through streaming services and stuff like that. But from what I've heard, the majority of the stuff that they show on Cartoon Network at the minute is Teen Titans Go. They're not even really showing that much of Adventure Time or, what's that, Gumball? Crap, I literally was watching a clip for that, like, yesterday. That Gumball one, regular show's not on anymore, so that's, but, I'm not sure what else they've got at the minute, other than, you know, those reboots and things like that. But, yeah, I mean, I actually don't like Teen Titans Go, and I can't tell you that I'm that much of a fan of the original Teen Titans, but you can tell which one's the better show than the other one. But the thing that I really dislike about that show is the attitude that the writers seem to have. Well, we're making a kids show, so... like as though they don't have to try because they're making a kids show. Case in point, on the same network, regular show was really funny. and that was for kids. Adventure Time is super entertaining, and that's for kids. Teen Titans, the original Teen Titans was for kids, and that's a good show. You know, just because your show is for kids, you don't treat the kids like they're idiots. They're not. This is, I mean, that's all it comes down to. You know, don't treat kids like they're stupid. They aren't. They get it. You know, you can make crude jokes and they'll get it. Or even if you tackle like adult subject matter, they'll get it or they'll appreciate it. When I was 9 years old, I loved South Park. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just because I'm younger, so I still know what I liked when I was a kid, and I haven't lost track of what kids like. I went off on a tangent there, didn't I? Where did you get the idea for your Fringy character? I can't even remember. I just drew something and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll roll with that. And then I gradually improved on it. I will do a redesign soon, I reckon. Just to update it a bit. Because I've been using the current design for a year at this point. I need some new art. I think I have gotten better. I don't know, it's hard to tell. I try and draw, but then I always lose track because I've got so many things that I want to try and work on. Oh, pardon me. And also, I guess the idea for the Fringy character was born from the fact that everybody was using something in a suit, and I wanted to do something different. Because I don't think that there are many people on YouTube who have a sort of character or an avatar that that's a superhero. Most of the time it's an animal or an animal in a suit or something in a suit, especially with these skeptic trademark. You know, like it's lots of people in a suit, and I just found that to be a bit boring, so I wanted to do something different. And plus, it just has so much potential for doing a funny cartoon with. That's what I think the next project will be the Fringy, a few cartoons as sort of a proof of concept for what I would do for a Fringy cartoon. Because I already got other characters that I have yet to introduce that I've been working on for a while. And I'll probably actually talk about them right now. Because there was Felix, who is a mute kangaroo, who's yeah, he's like a mute kangaroo who is the voice of reason, ironically enough, because he can't speak. He's sort of like calm and all of that. And then there was a guy called, I can't remember, like Percival Cranston, I think his name was. His initials are PC, and he's a doctor. He's got a doctorate in something ridiculous. And he's like the villain. He's like Friggy's arch nemesis. And that's, and then I had an idea for a plush sloth who's sentient. So like a plush sloth who's like the next door neighbor to Fringy and Felix. And then that would be the gist of the main cast. As well as, I think there was some kind of like female superhero character who exists in I guess the Fringy mythos. But because I'm the only voice actor that I got, that's obviously not gonna work, at least not for now. Sorry, I just missed a lot of things. Have you seen the It movie? No, I haven't. Maybe I'll watch it. I've heard it's good. Don't do a redesign. It looks cool as it is. Well, I mean, what I'll do with the redesign is make it more obvious that it is a superhero costume. Not to change any of the color scheme or anything like that. Keep the basics, but, maybe make a few changes to it. Rick and Morty Season 3, Episode 7 is the best so far. I reckon it is. Yeah, I think I agree with that. Where's the Mario plus Rabbids review? I'm working on it, man, alright? I'm working on it. I'd still got to beat my first playthrough and then go through it again. It's going to take a while. Plus, I'm playing Metroid at the minute. I sort of took the week out from really thinking about reviews. But, you know, with this week, I think I'll get back into, sort of putting the hours in and trying to get that review finished. I got time. That's the thing, basically. I got time because the next one is, No, oh, shit, no I don't, because I was thinking about putting Cuphead on the review list, which means I got only about a week and a half. Damn it! I'll figure it out, don't worry, I'll figure it out, alright? It would be cool if you made an animated cartoon. Yeah, that's the plan right now, but I keep getting derailed because I've got a few projects in the works, which, I think I'll talk about in this stream. Would you ever do a competition of making an animation or fan art of you? Oh, well, dude, if people want to send me fan art, then by all means, go for it. I'd be cool to see some fan art. Any plans on making an animation about Fringy? Just answer the question, yes. Maybe in June 2018, Fringy will have his Mario Odyssey review done. Man, you're just tearing into me, man. I'm just hurting my feelings. Man, no, but seriously, these reviews take a long time to make. That Deus Ex video, probably, I think that was about 20 hours of editing, and that script was quite difficult for me to write. I had a lot of trouble with that script, and I'm not really sure why, but I think it was because it was really hard to identify what the issues were with the story, because I knew it wasn't good, but I really had to think about what the problems with that story were. It's a lot different, you know, I could write a script on how bad Modern Warfare 3's story is, and I could write that maybe in a few hours, and it would be pages long and coherent. But when it came to that review, it took a lot longer for me to do it, because the issues were a little bit difficult to identify, but I knew that they were there. Are you a boobs or ass man? That's a tough one. Nah, I think titties. I think the boobies are the way to go. How you going, Rags? No, but in terms of the Fringy cartoon, yeah, that's something that I think I want to work on, but I gotta write a script, and that's the hard part. The script is always the hardest part, I think, in my opinion. Even if you can do it really quickly, writing is difficult, let's put it that way, you know, it's not easy. And this is coming from somebody who's trying to write a fucking book, and it's been a pain in the ass, because there are so many times where I hit a roadblock. I'm like, no, that doesn't make sense. Is this good? Would anybody actually like this? That's the common thought that I get when I'm working on a script or pretty much any written material. At some point, I will always hit a roadblock where I think, this is shit. Will anybody even like this? And that's happened with I think that's happened with most writing projects I do. You know, people say they're their own worst critic, and that's definitely true in my case. Will the book? You're talking about it like it's done. These books are not done. These ideas are not finished at all. I'm still working on them. The draft that I'm working on right now is about 20,000 words, and I think that I might have to make some major revisions to it again. And that's after I had to scrap a lot of material and put a lot of time into it. I feel like the main issue that I'm having right now, in particular, is I like world building, but in this case, I don't think I've really written it all down and had it on a sheet in front of me to where I can look at it and have it all make sense. It's sort of ideas in my head that are coming together, but they need to mesh properly. And they're not going to mesh properly unless I just sit the fuck down and write it all on a goddamn sheet to try and figure it out. And that's probably what the crux of the problem has been at the minute. Also, just a sense of what sort of identity I guess it would have, like the style that I'm going for. I mean, I like comedy writing, so it seems odd that I would write a story that doesn't have some sort of hybrid, I guess, between or sort of I guess I've been thinking a lot recently about tone, and how you don't need to have a hard division between tone. You can blend tone. As long as your story is tonally consistent, you can still blend your tones, if you get what I mean. For example, I guess if you look at Quentin Tarantino, his movies are often a tonal blend, because they're usually funny, but they aren't comedy movies, if you get what I mean. You know, Inglourious Basterds has heaps of funny scenes, but it is not a comedy. And that's the kind of style that I think I would like, but it's a difficult style, which is why I respect Quentin Tarantino so much. But it is kind of a style that I like. This is me just now venting all of the the thoughts that I've been having about this whole process. As for just pure comedy, I find that to be a lot easier to write because you don't really have to, you know, this is sort of opening a can of worms, but just because your story is a comedy doesn't mean you shouldn't think about what's happening in it. But in terms of like this Fringy cartoon, it's always been really simplistic ideas, like going to get some ice cream and the Fringy character getting pissed off because you've got to stand in line. You see what I mean? It's such a shallow premise, but there's a lot of comedic material to go to sort of draw inspiration from. Did anybody influence you to create your channel or upload videos? Yeah, because I've had various channels on YouTube since like 2006, but I didn't really upload. I think it was in 2013. I can't remember what it was, but it was definitely because I'd been watching so much gaming material, which was pretty much all that I watched up until around that period that Gamergate happened, and then I started to notice all of this political crap. I was very much an apolitical sort of person prior to that whole controversy, and I wasn't even involved in Gamergate, but it sort of exposed that there was this issue. I guess I also watch those atheist channels, but I'm not really... That's kind of like a boring subject at this point. When Creep's work channel was up, he had a cool animation called Mr. Sandman, which was almost dark comedy, but still comedy. Yeah, but I've always liked dark comedy. That's my, that's always been my thing. I don't know, I feel like, that just regular comedy is sometimes a bit too safe. I just like dark jokes. You know, jokes about really grim things. Helps me deal with the trauma that is the world. I feel like Xbox fanboys are overhyping the Xbox One. Well, yeah. I mean, they are. And I think it's because they put all of their eggs in one basket. Because for a long time it was just Scorpio this, Scorpio that. It's gonna be the best thing ever. And then when we, you know, we sort of realized that it really isn't gonna be that good. What reaction can you have, especially after you spent so long, hyping something up for it to be disappointing or not really as good as you thought it would be? You can either go, yeah, my bad, I got overhyped, that happens, my bad. Or you can double down, and a lot of the time people often go for the latter. It's very difficult to admit you're wrong. It really is difficult to do it. And a lot of people make it sound like it's easy, but I think a lot of people have a problem with it. And that's just based on the fact that there are so many times where someone just gets something remarkably wrong, and they just double down on it. Seems to be especially prominent on the internet. Maybe in real life, not so much. Well, no, in real life, not so much. How do you play games and make videos on top of a building? If you actually look at the ground, it's grass. It's on a hill looking at buildings, not on top of a building. Because what good does it do to observe... In fact, just these hero shots of observing cities don't really work, because you're just looking at buildings. It's not going to help you find criminals. I said I was gonna draw, but I'm not sure if I'm actually gonna draw. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Oh, the Emmys are on today, aren't they? What is what? Hold on a second, what is this? Okay, so I'm just looking at an article. I'm just looking at an article. Apparently, there's in the latest Action Comics. Apparently, this happens in the Action Comics. That came out this week or last week. Sorry. A white supremacist fed up with a company that just laid him off decides to load his machine gun and kill the undocumented workers he believed took his job. In the nick of time, Superman arrives to shield the victims from a storm of bullets. What? Oh. What? But yeah, the article that I'm reading this on is Vox. They're saying that the conservative media is mad about it, which I don't doubt. I mean, this is a comic, so I think they need to sort of calm down a little bit. But then again, this is actually really, I mean, what kind of scenario is this? I mean, you know what I mean? What kind of scenario is this? Where a white supremacist thinks that the immigrants took his job, so he goes and tries to kill them. I mean, that is absurd. I'm just surprised that someone wrote that down and thought, yeah, let's roll with that. This is... You know, every day, people who get laid off from work just try and kill some immigrants. They try to kill some darkies. But yeah, that's I guess that makes sense though, because Superman is an illegal immigrant. I can only laugh at that. I mean, that's just funny. I don't see how anybody could get outraged about that. That's just funny to me. It is funny though how the whole "they took our jobs" has sort of been boiled down to a meme when in reality it's actually a legitimate concern. I mean, obviously, you know, you don't want people shooting each other over it, but "they took our jobs" is not like a... As much as I love that South Park episode with the "they took our gerbs," it is definitely a legitimate grievance to lose your job. Though, obviously not justification to go and shoot some fucking illegal immigrants. I feel like the issue, though, with some of the comics at the minute is that there's just this weird sort of disconnect between reality and what they're... You know, there's nothing wrong with inserting politics into a comic. You know, I'm not one of these idiots who's going to tell you that politics has no place in any form of storytelling. Because there is a need for it. There's a need to... I mean, it depends, obviously, on what comic you're kind of doing. Some comics rely a little bit more on politics than others. But it's just sort of this weird ham-fisted way that some writers sort of insert that kind of stuff into the comics where it just comes across as really forced and unnecessary. And I think it is hurting the comic book industry as well, which is something that I don't like, because I read comic books, I love comic books. And obviously I get a little bit upset when the industry starts to decline, and it's just a lot of this really sort of unnecessary use of politics. And some of it comes across as certain writers projecting their own opinions onto superheroes as though that sort of props them up, which is very odd. Especially, I'm very much a self-deprecating person. The idea for this Fringy cartoon would be pretty much all self-deprecating humor. And the whole idea of the Fringy character is meant to be a joke. I don't see myself as a superhero. It's a joke, you know what I mean? It's meant to be sort of like a bit of a person who takes things a bit too seriously, because that's part of the style. That's something that I think a lot of people need to continue to remember in terms of a lot of people on YouTube, and this definitely counts for me. There's a degree to which the reaction is played up for laughs. This is something I noticed in the comments of my recent Deus Ex video, where people really took issue with the jokes that I made about how I didn't think Prague was a good setting for Deus Ex Mankind Divided. And a lot of people took it more seriously than I intended. It was meant to be a joke, and then it ended up being something that a lot of people commented on and said that I didn't know what I was talking about. To which I disagree. I still don't think it's a good setting, but obviously I don't feel that fervently against it. As much as I hate SJWs and the whole safe space culture, the people who think that every woman in a video game... the people who think that every time a woman is in a video game or some shit is just as bad. Yeah, I agree. Because again, they're getting into the realm of the people that they don't like, where they're assuming that the reason why a writer decided to put a character in their story was for a reason other than the writer thought it would be good. And I don't like it when people do that. As somebody who wants to be a writer, I don't like it when people assume the reasons why people put characters in besides they thought it would be an interesting character. That's all it comes down to. Like when everybody freaked out over the main character of Battlefront 2 being a female, that was ridiculous. It was. I'm guessing the reason why they freaked out was because they think that there's a correlation between the fact that every major piece of Star Wars media recently has had a female lead character. My guess is that's the reason why, because you got Rey in The Force Awakens, Jyn Erso in Rogue One, and now we got... Oh crap, I can't remember the name of the main character in Battlefront 2. I totally forgot Battlefront 2 was coming out, so I left it off the review list. Nah, I'll leave it off. I can't do them all. I can't review every game. When I'm given a choice, I almost always make my character a female. I don't know why, I just like the idea of a warrior woman. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, usually when I'm playing an RPG or something, on the second playthrough, I'll play as a woman. Just because I like the because it's novel. You know, I like different, things. You know, for me, it's just about, I think it's just worthwhile to have different characters of different sort of, backgrounds and things like that, just because it makes things interesting, not on the basis of diversity. Is Destiny 2 on the review list? Yeah. Yeah, it is. For sure. That one's definitely getting reviewed, because I feel like it needs to be thoroughly analyzed. What's the next video going to be about? Or are you just going to let B. Dobbins take the review for that game? Yeah, look, as much as I like B. Dobbins, I feel like there are points where he's sort of not being fair on these games. I just watched this video today where... the title was, I think it was, yeah, the title is, Warning, COD World War II, Destiny 2 may cause brain damage. It's not really, that's not fair, you know what I mean? That's not a fair way to look at these games. I don't really like Destiny either, but at the same time, if I'm gonna review the game, I'm gonna do it fairly, and I don't think that he will. And that's fine, because I still like watching his videos, but I feel like it's gotten to a point where he's just sort of complaining about the game for the sake of complaining about it. I don't know, because I haven't played Destiny 2, but I doubt it's as awful as he's making it out to be. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. It might be. Yeah, he has... That's the thing. I really was a fan of his older videos, but these recent videos just haven't been that good. And in this video in particular, he's talking about how there's been a study that suggests that if you just play nothing but shooters, it's going to actually mess with your brain. It sort of dampens the part of your brain that is about spatial awareness, which I find odd, and that it sort of increases the part of your brain that crap, I'm losing it. The part of your brain that sort of emphasizes doing things on autopilot. And to me, my immediate thought was, stop just playing shooters, just play something else. You know what I mean? Just play something else. Just don't stop playing shooters. Or just play shooters less. If you've played... And that's sort of what I've noticed being the crux of the issue, is that he seems to play nothing but shooters. You know, he seems to play nothing but shooters, and I think that's the issue that he has with the gaming industry, where he talks about these problems that he thinks are widespread, but they're only widespread if you play nothing but fucking shooters all the time. If you play nothing but shooters, then of course you're gonna think the whole industry is shit, because the shooter part of the industry is not good. But play platformers, play adventure games, just play something else. Just play something else, man. Hold on, I'm just reading through some of the chat. I'm friends with his former gameplay guy, Dr. Leatherwood, and we both agree his channel sucks now. I don't think it sucks. I still like his videos, but there definitely has been more of a hyperbolic nature to the videos that he's been doing recently. And I feel like it's... I think you can just sort of identify with the titles and stuff that he's really trying to capitalize on the Destiny 2 sucks sort of thing. And like I said, I'm going to review the game and I'm going to try and be as fair as possible, but just based on the titles, you can tell that he's not going to be fair about it. You can just tell that if he did a review, it wouldn't be like a fair, impartial analysis of it. He's been going through depression. I think it's because Trump won. Yeah, that's not an excuse, though, to make shit content. I'm depressed all the fucking time, and I still try and make good videos. Lots of people are depressed. That's not an excuse. He doesn't make valid and logical points now. He just says the same shit. Yeah, I think that's the problem, though, isn't it? Because if all you do is talk about Destiny and Call of Duty World War II, I'd get bored as well. But that's why I move on to different things all the time. I mean, there's a reason why I want to start doing animations and things like that, because I want to do different things besides just talk about video games. What's your favorite superhero? Daredevil. He's a blind ninja. He's the only superhero whose disability is his strength. And the double sort of identity of a lawyer being a superhero has so much potential for really interesting story arcs, because that's an interesting character study. You got a guy who works in a profession that's about the law prevails and that the law will uphold morality, yet he still feels the need to go out into the night dressed as a superhero and take the fight, take sort of the fuck, I'm losing my train of thought. He still feels like he needs to take the law into his own hands by going out at night. That's just an interesting character. So yes, Marvel, if you're watching this, I will gladly write a Daredevil comic. Just say the word. I'll write a Daredevil comic. You don't have to fire Charles Soule, though, because he's doing a really great Daredevil run at the minute. In fact, yeah, no, it's pretty excellent Daredevil run, to be honest, at the minute. And they're introducing of what's it, Blind Spot, the new character in the current Daredevil arc, he's a really cool character. Well, oh, hold on, I think I missed something. When will you do response videos again? Probably not. Probably, like, at no point, I think. I don't know, I just got bored of it. I just get bored of it, and then if I'm bored of something, then I can't feign excitement for it. This is something that I think viewers, I hope viewers understand about sort of people who create things, is that once they really have no interest in it anymore, that's when it gets bad, and you can't expect somebody to just turn on interest and make something good just because. I think that's kind of a symptom of what's been going on with Seth MacFarlane as well. You know, obviously there are heaps of other people who work on the show and things like that, but he is Family Guy. He's the executive producer, the lead writer, and the voice of several of the characters. You know, him losing interest would have the same effect as if Justin Roiland lost interest in Rick and Morty. You know, they are the voice of the show in terms of the, You need one central sort of, creative voice, I think, in any major project. And once they lose interest, that's when it's stuffed. And I think that's symptomatic of what's happened with Family Guy, because it hasn't been good for a long time. You know, I really love the older episodes of Family Guy. I think the first few seasons are excellent, but then it just sort of nosedived. Just reading the chat, all this interesting discussion about, this discussion about politics related to, yeah, certain people. What are your thoughts on Dave Rubin? I like him. He seems like a cool dude. Dave, if you ever want me on your show, you know, I'm more than willing to hop on and have a chat. This stream is basically me just telling people to, like, get me on their show or give me a job. Alright, I'm just perusing stuff on the internet at the minute. It's funny, I said I was drawing, but I don't think that's happening. I think, like every stream, I'm just gonna be chatting. I think a good reasonable goal for drawing would be to draw one thing a day, but I've been sort of slipping on that. I mean, last night I went to sleep at like 10 PM. I never go to sleep that early. I don't know what's wrong with me. Fringy, can you make me a character? What do you mean? You want me to draw you a character? I would, but you gotta pay me to do that. No pro bono. No, I'm just kidding. But, I think it might be worthwhile once I feel comfortable with being not shit at drawing, that I'd be okay with doing commissions. I don't get why people think he's a de facto conservative because he hosts people like Ben Shapiro and Dennis Prager. Yeah, I don't get that either. I mean, he's just talking to them. It doesn't mean that he agrees with them. I mean, that's the whole point of his show. It's not about whether only talking to people you agree with. It's about having people on. It's about having people on to talk to them about stuff. I mean, admittedly, based on what I've seen of Dennis Prager, he strikes me as a fucking retard. I watched his video on, like, morality. It's the dumbest shit. It's some of the dumbest shit I've seen on the internet. Only if God exists can there be objective morality. I'm not going to explain what that means. What do you draw with? An UGHK 1560. It's a graphic display tablet. Your art is good. I don't agree. Like I said, man, anytime I finish any drawing, all I can see is what's wrong with it. It's what plagues me with videos, it's what plagues me with drawing, it's what plagues me with writing. I can only see the shit that I don't like, and the stuff that I got wrong. It's the curse of the creative. Wow, did Prager actually say that? Yeah, he did a video where he was talking about, basically, if God doesn't exist, morality is subjective, but morality is subjective. I mean, I guess the only way that we have sort of a... Well, no, you know what? Actually, no, because I think... Let's put it this way, right? Only in the instances of, like, rare psychopaths do you see people break certain, like... moral codes that I guess we all sort of adhere to. Like, for example, the reason why we agree that murder is wrong is mainly because we wouldn't like it if we got murdered. You kill someone, they're dead. And they're never coming back, right? So in that instance, that's the reason why we would say that murder is wrong, because we wouldn't appreciate it. But then you gotta put all the asterisks next to it. Like, you know, in self-defense, then there's an argument to be made. Or if you got to put one guy down to save, like, thousands of people. You see what I mean? Like, even when it comes to these hard things that we agree on, like murder is wrong, theft is wrong, there's still grey area. And you can't just say, well, God says so, therefore it's right and wrong. You see what I mean? Like, that's not how it works. And even if God existed, why would there be objective morality? Because he has an opinion that he doesn't even strictly adhere to? Sorry, not going to talk about politics. We're not going to talk about religion. People get upset when I do. No artist thinks their art is good. Welcome to being an artist. Yeah, pretty much. As for the whole PewDiePie thing, like I said, we talked about it on Appaben's stream. I don't feel like I need to keep talking about it. Only if someone brings me up in a discussion about it, which I would highly recommend against doing, because otherwise they're gonna sort of unleash the fury of a Fringy response. I hate how atheists are still so poorly looked at in society. Maybe not as much on the internet, but like 93% of scientists are atheists and agnostic. Yeah, because it definitely does seem like atheism is the only ism that people get really annoyed about. You know what I mean? For example, if someone goes on the internet and says like, man, God is great, I love God, he's the best. You know, people will go like, oh, one of these jokers, but overall they're not really going to have a problem with it. But if somebody else, like an atheist, went on Facebook and wrote Jesus is a lie, people would get actually pissed off at them, even though if we're applying the standard objectively, they both said equivalent things. You see what I mean? It's weird that, though, I find. It's weird that there's that sort of standard, because when somebody says God is great, they're basically saying God exists. And when someone said God doesn't exist, that's the one that really pisses people off. It is odd. But to me, it's more of a situation of, nah, I'm not even I'm not even getting involved in this. Nope, nope, nope. And that's the reason why I pretty much never talk about religion at all anymore. It actually makes me laugh sometimes, because I've just always found it fascinating. Because everybody is an atheist of every religion that they don't believe in. You know, if you're a Catholic, you're an atheist of not only Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, Sikh. You know, not only are you an atheist of all those things, but you're an atheist of the subcategories of Christianity that aren't compatible with yours. You're an atheist of I'm trying to pronounce it. You're not a Protestant. You're not Baptist. You're not a... Damn it! I'm forgetting them all. Anglican. You're not any of those things. You're only one of them specifically. So, yes, everybody is an atheist of several religions, but there are only few people who are just an atheist of all of them. You get what I mean? It's actually kind of an interesting topic, but like I said, people always get upset when people talk about it. Fringy, is there a backstory there? No, there isn't like some traumatic event or something. It's more that I just noticed that people get pissed off, so I just avoid talking about it at all. It's mainly just a situation of, it's not worth it, so nope, not even gonna bother. That's how it works for me. Where you go after you die is a good question to ask. Yeah, it is. Because it's kind of like a sort of grim thought to think about. You know, occasionally when I think about it, it actually gets me a little bit depressed because, you know, at the end of the day, it's, there's a good chance that when we die, we're dead. And it's like, it's the same, I imagine that when we die, it's the same as before we were born. It's just, it's not even just black, it's nothing. Absolute nothingness. And that is scarier than hell. That is definitely scarier than hell. So, yeah. But yeah, like Ghastly Cloud said, it's a question that can't even be answered. Religion made way more sense back before people discovered science. People have natural fear of the unknown, so they create heaven and shit in order to feel more comfortable with death. Well, that definitely seems like the main explanation, is because it makes people feel better. Because yes, it is very confronting to sort of come to the realization that when we die, we're just nothing. And that's it. And the world will continue, and it will be as though we weren't even here. That's scary. That's a scary thing to confront. But I feel like it's necessary. You know, the truth is not dictated by what I find scary. Did you get blocked by Weapon Wheel Podcast? I did. So I guess I'm not invited back onto the Weapon Wheel Podcast. All you can do in the meantime is provide for yourself and others. Yeah, that's basically it, isn't it? That's all you can do, is you just gotta keep trucking on. You could, I mean, this is kind of like the existential crisis, isn't it? Either you have to deal with it, or you can kill yourself. And obviously, dealing with it is the better one. There's no drama between me and BG. I asked him a question and he blocked me. It's that simple. And there's no way that he can look at that. I don't see how we can look at that and go, yeah, that was the right call. Probably ought to look up what's going on with the Emmys, right? I gotta pay attention to that. Alright. Oh, I'm pretty sure, I don't think it's even started yet. Whoops. Then again, I mean, when I look at the stuff that gets nominated for Emmys, I always get a little bit annoyed in certain categories. For example, why hasn't BoJack Horseman been nominated for an Emmy for the animated category at least? It's actually kind of it's kind of ridiculous, to be honest, that it's not been nominated for an Emmy yet. Especially that episode Under the Ocean. That's one of the best episodes I've seen of any animated show. Okay, so alright, so a few things have already gotten awards. Saturday Night Live is the Outstanding Variety Sketch Series. BoJack Horseman is a masterpiece. Season 4 ending, though. Yeah, no, that was a good ending. I feel like I can't talk about it, though, without spoiling it. Because if I say whether it was a happy or sad ending, then that will spoil it. I'm just looking at... I've not paid attention to the things that have been nominated. Okay, so... Outstanding Drama Series, Better Call Saul, The Crown, The Handmaid's Tale, House of Cards, Stranger Things, This Is Us, and Westworld. I heard that this season of House of Cards wasn't that great. I haven't seen it, but okay. Netflix has got 3 shows nominated. Comedy series. Atlanta, Blackish, Master of None, Modern Family, Silicon Valley, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and Veep. So it's... Every year, the same shows get nominated. It's always the same shows, especially in the comedy category. Outstanding Variety Talk Series. Full Frontal with Samantha Bee. Jimmy Kimmel Live. Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. The Late Late Show with James Corden. And Real Time with Bill Maher. Alright. I'm just scrolling through stuff, yeah. I'm just trying to see... I haven't even heard of some of these shows, to be honest with you. I don't know what Blackish is. What are you working on at the moment? A few things. Mario plus Rabbids review. The Fringy cartoon, the scripts at least. Probably got to work on some character designs as well. And the book, which has hit a roadblock. And for which I feel like I might need to, yet again, figure out which story would work best as a first book to work on, because there's a lot to learn. Yeah. Would you make a live action show about Fringy? I would... No. Not live action, no. I've always... In terms of doing a TV show, I've always been more interested in doing a cartoon. What inspires you for your character designs? I don't know. I don't know. I just try and figure it out. I don't know where any of my ideas come from. You know, a lot of the ideas are just these sort of wacky, goofy ideas that I come up with. I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. Let's do that. And then that's how a lot of the ideas come around. You know, it's very easy to come up with ideas. The hard part is actually figuring out which ideas are which. For example, I've had several ideas for a science fiction story where there's overlap and I can't decide on which one I like the most. One of the ideas that I have for a story is like this big story. No, not a big story, actually. It'd be like some small stories, four stories over the course of a book. Set in sort of like a science fiction setting, you know, maybe 400 or 500 years into the future, where humanity's now in space. There's sort of a local community of sentient species, but it's not one of those happy science fiction scenarios, kind of like Star Trek. It's much more of a grim, depressing sort of reality where they don't get along, and there's no big epic space sagas. It's just a bunch of really shitty stuff going on. So, sort of like, I guess taking a bit of inspiration from The Expanse, in a sense. Though with a little bit less of a big grand story being told, you know, like Proto-Molecule or anything. It's just sort of these smaller stories. But at the same time, I really want to do a space western, like a bounty hunter story. Sort of like if you watch the trailer for Prey 2, something like that, with a, you know, like a bounty hunter on a city alien planet, jumping between planets and all this sort of cool thing. I would love to do that. And then I got the idea for Sagittarius, which is like a relic hunter going out into space and finding artifacts and fighting pirates and shit. Like, there's too many, I come up with too many ideas and I can't decide on them. And then that's why I never get anything done. Fringy, does he have a no-kill rule? Well, Fringy doesn't really have any rules because it's like, he's not even really a superhero. He's just a dude in a superhero costume. But, no, obviously not having, the killing criminals with a sword. The sword is electrified, but it's non-lethal. Just go with it. Why have you been demonetized? I don't know. I don't know why my videos are being demonetized. Everybody's videos are getting demonetized. Can you make more SJW commentary videos? I don't know. I don't think I'm interested in doing that anymore. I mean, maybe it'd be worthwhile to talk about topics, but responding in and of itself, I don't think I'd be keen on, because it's a very aggravating endeavor. It really is. I also don't think it's as creatively stimulating, to be honest. That's why I want to do cartoons and like write novels and do stuff like that. That's just what I want to do. Yeah, just go with it is my equivalent to Rick's don't think about it. That's what it is. Just suspend your disbelief, just go with it. Yeah, but in Batman Arkham Knight, it just doesn't make sense that he would like, oh yeah, non-lethal explosions. It's funny though, I still see people to this day, more than a year and a half removed, from Batman v Superman, where they're like, oh, you know, Batman doesn't really kill anybody, it's just incompetence. No it ain't, man. It isn't. It's not incompetence that Batman shot that dude's gas canister and blew him up. It's not an accident that Batman fired his machine guns into the vehicle in front of him and then drove through the car, killing those two dudes. It's not an accident that Batman throws a dude so hard into the wall that blood starts to come out of the back of his head. That is not an accident. Batman kills people in that movie. And I love how people are like, well, in like Detective Comics 6, he kills people, therefore it still makes sense to do a Batman now that does it. You're referencing Batman from years and years ago. It's like, you can't be referencing Batman from the 30s and the 40s as a metric to measure a Batman who is so obviously based on 80s and 90s Batman comics. Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent there. I just get sick of some of these people who just like, they're so fervent, like, oh no, Suicide Squad's actually good. I reckon we'll wrap up in maybe 5 to 10 minutes. I don't want to get too distracted. I'm pretty sure I got things to do today, even though I can't figure out what it was. I think everyone has their own ideal hero and would never change their mind. Yeah, I guess so. I don't think you could convince me that any other comic book character is better than Daredevil. I think he is the best, and it's probably something you'd have a hard time convincing me of. I think Batfleck's Batman is based on older Batman. He's been doing it a long time and doesn't really go by his don't kill rule. Yeah, but the issue is that if this is his first time on screen, I'm left to assume that this is how he's always done it. You know what I mean? And that's what I don't like. If we had established that, okay, in the past, you know, Batman had this no kill rule, something really bad happened, and now he kills people, that's fine, but they don't do that. And I know some people will be like, oh yeah, but they leave tidbits and hints, but no, they don't leave enough information. They don't leave enough information for you to reasonably assume that. That's just wishful thinking. Can you make one of your comic strips based around some sort of cliche you see in TV shows a lot? For example, like hosting a party when parents are gone, love triangles, I'm your dad plot twist. Yeah, I mean, I figure that there's a lot of satire for that. I mean, I probably wouldn't do it in a comic strip, though. That'd be something that I'd want to do in a cartoon. But yes, there is a lot of room for that. Yeah, they talk about how he's gotten more cruel and shit. They do a horrible job telling you anything about his past as Batman. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, they leave hints and stuff, but it's not enough. It's not enough to really solidify whether or not this is how he's always operated. And subtlety is fine. I don't need them to outright tell me, yeah, Batman used to be non-lethal and now he kills people. But there isn't enough. A lot of it is just about theories and stuff like that. And I just don't think they did a good enough job in doing that. And the issue for me as well is the fact that the way that Batman killed people seemed unnecessarily over the top. You know, while I don't like that in the Avengers movies they just seem to be cool with killing everybody, there seems to be at least some degree to which they don't go out of their way to make them suffer. You know what I mean? They try and do it as quickly as possible, but in this, it seemed like he was really going out of his way to do it. Like, was it necessary to blow up that dude's car with your chain gun? Was it necessary to shoot that guy's gas canister and blow him up? Was it necessary to throw that dude so hard into the ground that his neck had to have snapped? You get what I mean? Are you gonna make a Fringy comic? No, I'm gonna make a Fringy cartoon. That's what I'm gonna do. Probably only 2 or 3 episodes for a season, I reckon, just because it's gonna take a while. You would never be able to convince me not to love Spider-Man. He's my favorite hero, not actually Spider-Man, but I love Peter Parker's character. Yeah, that's I think I can agree with that. I really like Peter Parker as a character. There's a reason why Spider-Man resonates with so many people, though. Oh, pardon me. He's just a likable dude. And I think that they need to make sure that with, you know, with Spider-Man in the MCU, they need to really keep him as the one who doesn't want to kill people. I mean, one of the most refreshing aspects of Spider-Man Homecoming for me was the fact that I think there was only one death in the movie. One person got killed. The bad guy didn't die, and I was actually worried that he wouldn't, and I was feeling bad. I was worried that the Vulture was going to die, and he doesn't. Sorry, spoilers. My bad. But yeah, no, I like that. I like that nobody dies in that movie except for one dude. That's really refreshing. I think the reason why that movie works well is just because it's kind of like smaller stakes. It feels a lot more personal, and that's what I liked about it. The only really big thing that could have gone wrong was with the ship, and even that felt low-key compared to some of the stupid shit that they do in some of the other movies, where it's just so over the top and ridiculous. They're setting up Sinister Six correctly this time. Yeah, because they're already setting up Scorpion with Voss. Oh, you should have seen me in the cinema. I almost yelled out Voss, and I never yell in the cinema or anything like that. But when I saw, I can't remember the actor, but when I saw it, I was like, holy shit, Voss! In my mind, at least. And I had a grin on across my face. I was so happy. Voss is honestly still one of the best villains that we've ever had in a video game. And I think what we've seen with all the Far Cry games since is them struggling to come up with a villain nearly as good as Voss. Pagan Min was alright, but he seemed like they were just trying to do Vice again, so it wasn't really as interesting. Who was that other guy that they had? Hoyt, or whatever it was. The guy who came after Vice got killed off way earlier than I was expecting. I love the scale of the movie. Like, the whole movie was Peter Parker trying to stop illegal gun trade. That's what I'm talking about, man. It's just really exciting. And, you know, when people were in danger, it was never a huge deal. And frankly, I just think the Vulture was probably one of the better MCU villains, because so many of them are just weak. And this one was relatable. He had goals that I could understand. And he wasn't, like, going out of his way to kill anybody, you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't just some ruthless asshole. Obviously, you know, there came a point where he was like, you know, he wanted to, he basically was, gonna try and kill Peter, but he wasn't going out of his way to cause damage, you know what I mean? He had an understandable motive, you know, I want to take care of my family and make some money. And also just because Michael Keaton is an excellent actor. Especially, that scene where they're in the car driving to Homecoming. I just love that scene because everything's coming together and you can tell that, he's figuring it out. It's a great scene. And even, like, these little subtle, lighting cues as well in that scene. Alright guys, if you got any last questions, then feel free to shoot them to me, because we're going to wrap it up, I reckon. As for just keeping you up to date with the stuff that I'm working on, next review, gonna try and... Actually, I've already explained it enough in this live stream, that's fine. So if you got any last questions, shoot them through. I like how all the last questions are basically joke questions. Dude, Fringy, I love your videos a lot. You're a severely underrated YouTuber, and it's a damn shame you don't have any more subs than you do. Love your shit, dude. Keep up the good work. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. What are your thoughts on the Defenders not killing Daredevil? Oh, sorry, that's been spoiled. That's been spoiled now. Well, they weren't gonna. I mean, obviously they weren't gonna. I just want to see how they contrived the reason that he got out of it, though. That's what I want to see. I thought it would have been a great death. It probably would have been, but I don't think they could have killed him off that early. It's too soon. But I guess it means now they can't do a fake-out death for him anymore, because they've done one fake-out, so a real death would be less of a shock, I think, now. If you could be immortal but have to castrate yourself, would you do it? No. Nuh-uh, no way. Okay, guys, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for watching. You'll get some new content soon, hopefully. But thanks for joining in. I had a fun time as usual, and I'll catch you guys in the next stream. See you later.